Hey everybody, welcome back to the 138th episode of Taps and Patience. I'm AJ with Subtract Manufacturing and Audacity Micro here with Harrison from Precision Ingenuity. And we almost got Jacob in, but he left before we could hit record. Hi Harrison, how you doing?
Tired, but good.
I have a feeling we are both going to lead with basically the same statement of what happened this week that was big and exciting, except yours was much more dramatic than mine.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first then?
I said, wow, this is the most focused we've ever been. Can I start with a tangent story?
Go for it.
It is shop related. So, if you remember right, like 2 or 3 episodes ago, I was like, oh, look, there was a mouse in the corner. It's just kind of staring at me. Like I said it like right at the end of the episode. It's like, there's a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, the mouse fell off my 3D printer. That's what it did. I have updates about this mouse. I have multiple updates about this mouse. First update is, so the other day, I walk in and there was a little cap of water on my floor, like the lid off of a salsa container, something like that was full of water, and some pieces of cheese. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is strange, but I have kids, so these things happen. And I mentioned something about it to my wife, and she was like, oh yeah, so we went into your shop and there was a little scared mouse sitting there, and we caught him under a cup. And then they brought the mouse inside my house, put him in a box. They fed him. They gave him water. They nursed him back to health. And then they brought him back into my shop and then released the mouse back into my shop. So my family is nursing my pests back to health, which I thought would be the end of it. But then I wanted to put a trash can next to my 3D printer. Mm-hmm. And before I had like an electrical panel box inside a box that Scott gave me, like one of those, like a box that you'd put a PLC in. Scott had an extra one from work. I have plans for hook up some sort of automation. And he was like, hey, they were just going to throw this away. Do you want it? And I went, yes. So I have this, PLC cabinet in a box next to my 3D printer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you recall, the mouse was jumping off of my 3D printer for some reason the other day during the podcast. Mm-hmm. I went to move this box, and this box had like 6 dead mice on top of it. It was very strange.
Interesting.
So, and I haven't seen Mr. Mousy since, so I believe that was the end of Mr. Mousy.
Huh.
Yeah.
So much for nursing Mr. Mouse back to health.
Yeah, they nursed him back to health just enough so he could go jump off my 3D printer again and land on top of the PLC box with the graveyard of all of his friends.
That's rather morbid to start us off, but
yeah, it's
a weird tangent.
Sorry.
Let me tell you the story of how my family tried to save a mouse, and then not only did it die, but all of its family.
Yeah. Did I mention I'm tired and just want to go to bed? Well, now that we've
beaten a dead mouse.
Yeah, now that we've beaten a dead mouse. So anyway, maybe Jacob can make a custom song for the mouse.
You might need some sleep after this one, AJ. All right, let's try to bring this back on topic.
Anyway, this week I did a lot of automation.
Great segue.
Which is, I have a feeling what you're going to say. So I've been working on these parts. They're the ones that are about the size of a shirt button. It kind of looks like a bowl, but it has like 2 bosses inside the bowl and some overhangs and some fillets in terrible places.
Mm-hmm.
But I am still salami slicing these out of one, piece of 3/8 titanium bar.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was first getting started, I would hit go on my machine, and then I would walk off, and 10 minutes later I would come back, and there would be a finished part sitting on the end of the stick. I would pull that part off the stick, put it in my little 3D printed bin, press go, and then come back. So every 10 minutes or so, I would have to come back to the machine and just remove the part and press go again. Classic salami slice. So I wanted to automate that so I could get longer walk away times. And so I started playing around with different little 3D printed fingers that I could put inside a tool holder on my machine where it could grab the part off and then keep running. And it took, I don't know, probably 6 different designs or 8 different designs, or really just tweaks, 8 different like little tweaks. And I eventually pretty much got it.
Okay.
So the design I have now, with one caveat, has never failed to remove the part.
Okay.
It doesn't always hold onto the part throughout the whole next cycle, but it does always remove the part from the end of the stick.
Okay.
So I think my file name for this is like, such and such part name reverse Pez dispenser, and that's kind of how it works, where it just kind of builds a pile of them up in there. I think I need to do, version 9 or whatever I'm on now and give it a little bit more space, because I think once you have a couple parts in there, it kind of holds the little jaws open, which causes it to lose the part during a tool change.
Gotcha.
So my current system right now is it goes and it grabs the part, and then it puts the tool back into the ATC, and it seems it does it when it switches to the next tool. Like that vibration will knock the part out, which then lands in that little like coolant trough, and it goes down the coolant trough and into a little like wire mesh basket I have in the end.
Gotcha.
So I'm still getting 100% recovery, and I'm not having to dig through my chip bin. I just have to go pull the mesh basket out of my coolant tank every now and then.
Now, could you, instead of acting like a Pez dispenser, is there any way you could have it where it grabs onto it and then brings it over to like a cup or something? And there's a mechanism there when you push down, it would cause the fingers to open and drop the current part. So instead of building up a stack of parts in the Pez dispenser, you have the ability to drop that part into a designated location and not stack them up in the tool that's removing them.
I'm sure there's some way. My machine made a funny sound. Or
Yeah,
something
that
made
was
a funny sound.
That was an interesting sound.
I don't know.
Do you
what
need to
that
go check
was.
on
Kind
that?
of a squawk. No, I have a camera and it's still running. I'm just curious what made that squawk. It might have been someone turning on the hose outside or something. But I have the camera here.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, distractions. But it took me a lot of running parts individually before I was able to kind of trust it a bit more. So I ran a bunch one at a time where it would still pick it off on the end and not automatically cycle. But just today, I started trusting it enough where it would start running multiples at the same time. And I ran, I think, 5 in a row. Like I ran a program that ran 5 individual parts 3 times in a row. So a total of 15 parts. And I didn't have any failures with that. And so just now I switched to it running 8 parts at a time.
Does it validate that the part was removed with like
it does not. So I haven't actually seen what happens during a failure if it doesn't remove the part. However, it does probe for Z height every time before it runs the part. And I think what would happen is the probe would come in and it would probe the part and it would be too thick. And then I think the roughing tool would immediately knock the part off. And then it would probably proceed to make like half of a part or like a really skinny version of the part before just kind of continuing the cycle. So I think it would fail safely. I don't think it would break tools, but it hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
As far as I know, unless it has happened and I just haven't noticed. But
okay. Fair enough. Well, that sounds like a really cool process, kind of all self-contained and rather simple, but kind of ingenious.
It does make me very much want a gimbal spindle gripper.
Yeah. Because that'd be perfect if you could just grab onto it, then twist it off, and then go drop it in a bucket. Basically, do what I was
Yep.
saying, but have a lot higher success rate.
Yep. I think that'll be the way. So, I don't know. Soon here. But for now, I'll finish this. So,
do you have enough parts in this job to justify getting a gripper?
maybe if I had done it at the beginning, I don't know. Like I have a system that works now.
Okay.
If I had started with the gripper, maybe.
Fair enough. Well, I also have some automation changes happening in my shop.
I suspected you did.
So we have VersaBuilt has hit the building, and we had a week of a series of eventful events. Series of
That's never good in a manufacturing environment.
Yeah. So he was here for a week, and he was supposed to help us get 2 parts up and running fully.
He being the apps guy.
He being the apps guy. So, this is also funny. So my employee is named Ben, and the apps guy is named Ben, and we were joking all week that we were going to name the robot Ben, and then we told employee Ben that he was going to have to change his name because it was going to get confusing having 2 Bens in the shop. so anyways, it was
just
fun.
name the robot Ben.
Yeah, Ben. But anyways, so everything that like could go wrong but not be catastrophic, but just slow things down, basically went wrong.
Such as
well, let's see here. Before this all started, the Haas machine itself had some issues that we needed to get resolved for automation running. There's 2 issues that are not a problem if you're running it manually, but are a problem if you're running it with a robot that we've been dealing with and been trying to figure out. First of them was the coolant float was not working properly. They think it was a short in basically the potentiometer that would measure it. And so machine's still under warranty, so that's fine, but we had to have a service call to basically get that fixed. And the other service call that's kind of been a problem as well is that the oil reservoir, whenever it would like oil all the axes on the machine, it would have a low oil pressure alarm every time it would run, and found out that there was some fittings that were not tightened all the way down and that we were leaking oil in the machine.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so there's a puddle of oil underneath the x-axis carriage that goes side to side. And so we've wasted a lot of oil just because it's been trying to pump oil because there's a leak. It's trying to look for a certain amount of back pressure, and it never sees that because it's leaking. And so both of those issues required ordering parts. And we also had some times where we had to order stuff for VersaBuilt, and we would order stuff overnight next day, and UPS kind of screwed us over. And basically we lost 2 days waiting on UPS.
UPS had an incident this week or last week or something.
Yeah, and it screwed us over. So that was part of it. The robot itself might have a bad joint from the factory.
Oh
no. So whenever they tried running it at 100% rapids, it would error out and have problems. And so they tried reflashing old firmware onto it, and they tried a whole bunch of stuff. And by the end of the week, they have put in a service ticket to UR. It's a brand new machine robot. It should be covered under warranty. They're going to try to get them to ship out a brand new UR robot to us, and then we'll just swap them. But if they don't do that, Philips, who we bought this system through, they have another robot on the shelf that they
Mm-hmm.
will switch out for us if VersaBuilt won't, or if UR doesn't.
Cool.
So, um, but in the meantime, while we're trying to get that figured out, we can't run the robot over 50% speed. Like it still works. It's just when it gets into the high speed mode, there's something with how it senses the torque that makes it think that the load is a different weight on the end, and then it errors out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you run it slow, it's fine. But if you try to run it at 100%, it freaks out.
It's
So
kind of like the office mill. I don't know if we talked about this, but at one point, um, it was, I don't remember if it was the X or Y axis, but on one of them at 100% rapids, it would throw an encoder error. And if you ran it at 50% rapids, it was fine. And I eventually got into the parameters and just like changed the max rapid speed on that axis so that it wouldn't throw it. But
yeah, I remember you talking about that. But we also had, we just had different problems every once in a while where like we would get everything that we need and we'd have to order parts, and then we'd be waiting on parts. We get the parts in, and then we do everything that we needed to do, find out we were missing one other part, have to order it. And so part of the reason for some of this stuff is that this was I don't know for sure. Well, I'm 99% sure this is the first time VersaBuilt has ever installed two vices on a UMC 500 at the same time.
okay. I guess two. Yeah.
And so um, it ended up having some pretty unique challenges that we had to work through. And there's still some areas that I have some ideas for improvements that could be done. But to the best of my knowledge, this is the first UMC that we've installed, that VersaBuilt has installed two of their vices on. Typically, whenever they're doing a UMC, they usually do only one vice, and then they'll do for just like a one-op workflow.
Interesting. Okay.
And it has to do with how big their vices are and the fact that the rotary air union can only support one vice.
Mm.
And so whenever we open and close vices, we're opening and closing both vices at the same
Ooh,
time.
that kind of sounds like a headache.
And so I have some ideas on how to make it work. It works with our current workflow. The only problem is that whenever it's going over to the second vice, the first vice will open and close, and you have the potential of your part moving depending on how it's set up.
Yeah.
And so far, it hasn't been a problem, but I have an idea on how to make it work better. Where you can control each vice, because I have three airports that are going through the rotary union. I only need two of them to open and close the vice. The third one, I found it's not a solenoid valve, but it's like a solenoid valve, but instead of having a solenoid controlling it, you can use a separate airline to run it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could use the blow off valve as like a selector to which vice you're trying to control. And so basically I could, with three inputs, I could control four connections if I did it right.
Yeah,
Because
that
because
makes sense.
because I'm only using one vice at a time. I'm using side one and side two. This allows me to do two op workflows through the machine, or two simultaneous op ones, which if you do two op ones, it is significantly faster than doing one. Because if you do one, it has to pull it out, clean the part, clean the vice, drop it off, pick it up. And so you have all of that lost cycle time of the robot doing one vice at a time. That if you have two, it can be doing all that work outside the machine while the machine's running. And then it's like a 30-second cycle, 30 to 45 seconds to switch out and load up the other vice.
To close the vice, or once the vice is closed, does it need a constant air source?
Yes.
Okay.
So the,
There
the
goes my
reason
plan.
the reason it's that way is because you can get ID or OD clamping jaws for the VersaBuilt system. And so it uses air to hold it in both ways. And that's also how you control the amount of force that you're putting onto it.
Yeah.
So, um, but anyways, so all that to said, there's been some challenges, but we had it running op ones for almost 5 hours continuous without any problems.
Nice.
And so I'm just waiting on some parts to show up tomorrow, and then I'm going to machine the op 2 jaws, and then hopefully we'll have the magwells doing op 1 and op 2 100% unattended.
Could you do op 1 and op 2 in one vise? Just
Uh
like side by side in a pair of soft jaws?
no. And it wouldn't gain me any time.
No, but it
Uh
would mean you could use one vise.
yeah, yeah. We put the vise on a riser, uh on a not on a riser, on a wedge plate that they're
Mm-hmm.
slanted at 15 degrees to get it to fit. Um but it's all sitting on top of my Lang plate, and if I want to go to a one vice workflow, I can just undo the clamp and pull that whole plate off, and I can make another plate. What I'm probably going to do is if I do this enough, I'm going to buy another Versabuilt air vise, and then I'll have two different fixtures, one with two vices and one with one, and then I can go back and forth depending on what I need.
But or you could use the two vice fixture and only use one of the vices.
The reason that I would only use one vise instead is because that tilt at 15 degrees causes some problems that makes
Okay.
it challenging for, like, if you want to probe and make sure that your part's in the right location. That angle makes it a little difficult to check some things. And in addition to that,
Can you just rotate and probe?
you can't rotate the B axis and probe with the 5 axis. Like, you can rotate C, but you can't rotate
Interesting.
B. I thought the same thing, and we had a long discussion with Haas about it, and you cannot do that and have it be accurate.
Okay.
At least that's what they've told me. And so, in addition to that, riser on that angle pushes everything up pretty high. And at the angle, it's both parts are right at the extreme ranges of the UMC 500. And so, by going to one vise, I can hold larger parts,
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
I have more room in the Z axis. So I can do larger and I can do taller that I can't do with the dual. And basically the guy who was setting it up, the apps guy that was there, he's like, really, for this setup to be the most beneficial, it would need to be on a UMC 750. He's like, that's really the ideal size machine for this setup. But we're doing small parts. That's all we're planning on really running on it, and for now. And so it's a perfect setup for what we're doing with it.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense, and you'll get the things like the airline sorted out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it might not even be that big of a problem, because if I design my jaws the right way, having them open and close on an angle, they're just gonna it's not gonna hurt anything.
Yeah. Is there? You don't have any electrical pass throughs on that rotary, right? They're just pneumatic.
It's all pneumatic. So, but yeah, it's really cool, because this is this was a couple firsts for the Versabuilt system. It was the first dual vice into UMC, the first side loading that they've ever done, or at least that our current app guys has ever done. So almost all of the Versabuilt systems have gone through the front door instead of through a side window. Um, there was a lot of integration stuff that allows the UMC and Versabuilt to control things. So the UMC has a foot pedal, so I can control the vices, or the robot can. And the same with the side window. Both the UMC and the Versabuilt can control it. And so it opens up a lot of options for how we want to control it, if we want to have the robot or the UMC control different things.
Yeah.
So
So was that auto door? Was that a VersaBuilt part or was that a
No,
Haas part?
it's a Haas part.
Okay.
So,
Did that come with the machine or did you add that?
uh, when Philips was putting together the package, they added that. It was just included.
That's your HFO when you first bought the
Yeah,
machine?
yeah.
Okay.
So our Philips, part of the reason we went with the VersaBuilt system is because um, we know the apps guy. We trust him. He's helped us out in the past because he's with Philips, and he's also the same guy that does the installation of the VersaBuilt. And they send him all across the country to do VersaBuilt installations, not only locally. And so he's kind of one of their top VersaBuilt guys. And so like this coming week, he is in, I think, Tennessee somewhere doing another VersaBuilt installation over there.
Cool.
So that's kind of what he does. And he was showing me. He just got done with what he said was one of his most challenging VersaBuilt parts that he's ever done. And he's doing. It looks like a little servo arm for like an RC out of titanium, and
Mm-hmm.
he's machining a strip of 10 of them in op1, and then flipping that whole strip into a vise into the op2 side with VersaBuilt, and then separating them all out into their individual pieces. And he's got a whole crazy set of jaws for how he did all that, because my biggest concern with an operation like that is that the little individual pieces will all pop out because you're not going to have even pressure. And he had a really clever design that basically allowed to keep even tension across everything. And then like he kind of went into some details on some different stuff, but like what he was able to accomplish and get reliable parts off with that system was pretty incredible. So like there's a lot of flexibility in the system once we get it up and going.
Yeah. In retrospect, I kind of wish I had made these parts like that. As cool as my little finger system is, indexing on op2 is slow and annoying.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But it's going to be a learning curve, but I have really high hopes for this machine, and it's running. And I never thought I was going to be able to do op1 and op2 on these magwells, but there's a good chance I can do op1 and op2, all unintended, which would be phenomenal.
Why didn't you think you could do both, especially if you bought two vices?
Well, we were just going to run both op1s interchangeably, so
okay.
We were going to do that.
Op1.
Yes.
Op1, and then op2.
Yes, and op2 was going to be a hybrid pallet loaded system. So we make a pallet that the vice would grab onto and index off of, using some dovetails and some locating features, basically turning the VersaBuilt system into a pallet loading system. But the reason I think that I can do it now, and what I couldn't do before, is because the last time I tried to do op2 in a vise, I had a hard time keeping even pressure with it, even with a torque wrench. And so, but having the air system and grabbing on the outside instead of the inside of the part, I think I can make it work. So, because the last time I was doing it, I was grabbing it on the inside of the part and I was holding it in a 3-axis vise. And this time I'm going to be grabbing it on the outside, and I'm going to have the 5-axis so I can tilt it on the side to get to some of the stuff that I couldn't get to unless I was holding it onto by the inside with the 3-axis. So,
how's your other new toy doing?
Great. I found a what's a good way to I disarmed a potential bomb that I had set up for myself. So,
how so?
You know how sometimes when you're setting something up, it could be a tool, it could be a vice, it could be something, and you set it up for a job, and it runs on that job okay. But you set it up wrong, and you compensated for that error in that job. But when you go to run a new job, that compensation works against you. That's basically what I did on the current job we're running onto it, and I discovered my error today while I was at the shop on the lathe. And so basically what was happening is when you set up the sub transfer, and G54 is my main sub on the side, and you have to set up your distance between the two for your sub side. And then that's how it knows how far to grab on and pull it out.
Okay.
And then when it goes to your sub side, you change to G55 and then you machine the part. G54 and G55, I tried to mimic the workflow that John Saunders shows when he templated out his machine.
Okay.
Where the face of both the main and the sub is the origin. So the face of the main side is G54 origin. The face of the sub side is G55 origin. And the connection between those two is the offset you set from your B axis related to your A, or from your sub spindle related to your main spindle, which is a B movement axis on the machine. Long story short, when I programmed it in Fusion, I selected the wrong face of the part. And so when I first ran it, I was off by 100 thou for
Mm-hmm.
and I adjusted my B axis until I got the part size that I wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of realizing that I had done, my part was 1.1 inches long, and I was trying to grab onto it by a half inch, and I had it selected to model back instead of model front, and so it was shifted by 100 thou roughly, difference between the two. And yeah, I ended up catching it, and we got it fixed to where it's grabbing on and it's machining the other side, and everything lines up to what the computer thinks it's supposed to be without any weird shifts.
That's good.
And so had I taken that template and copied it and tried to run a different part with it, it would have crashed hard. So
Yeah. So have you done anything other than those medical parts on it yet?
not yet, but once we get done with the medical parts, I have another part set up to run on it.
Okay.
Like I know the next part that I'm going to run on it is basically what I'm trying to say.
Have you done any live tool machining on it yet?
No, the next part will have live tooling. We have everything we
Okay.
need to do it. This current one doesn't. It needs 5 live tool holders, and I only have 4, so I'm short by 1. But the next part only needs 1 live tool holder, and it's a lot simpler of a part. So it'll allow me to kind of get my feet wet and get going with it, and then add in more holders as I kind of get it figured out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. No reason to mess with 2 variables at once on this part. Like it's
Yeah.
already a new machine. Don't throw in a new process. Prove out the new process on a simpler part.
Yeah.
No,
So
I'm with you there.
we're getting comfortable with the current machine. One thing I will say that is kind of surprising, and the Haas apps guy kind of illuminated this a little bit. The Doosan machine, while it is a more rigid machine, is less thermally stable,
Interesting.
at least from what we've seen so far. And I think it's twofold. I think it's because there's more axes that are moving. As temperatures grow, they're kind of, some of them are causing it to go away from center line, some of them are causing it to go towards. And depending on how that heat goes and changes, you have some fluctuation. And so it's not a linear line because it has more axes that are stacked. So that's part of the problem. The other thing that I found out when talking to the apps guy for Haas is that when they redesigned the ST line, one of the things they did is they moved the motor from underneath the spindle to over top of the spindle to keep that heat that the motor was generating from going into the spindle itself. And Doosan on the links has the motor directly underneath the spindle. And so I'm thinking that is also affecting it some. But like the Haas machine, like I can look at the temperature that it has on the main screen, and it's a very linear relationship between how much the machine has moved based off of the temperature. And if I was took the time and could figure it out, I could plug all those values into the temperature compensation and make it more accurate. But it's a small enough issue that as long as I'm in a temperature as long as I do a warm up routine on the ST, I'm within spec, and it holds really well. But the Lynx fluctuates a whole lot more. Once it gets up to temperature and everything's in there, it is locked in, and it actually is more stable once it's at temperature. It's just less stable when everything's fluctuating.
So does that mean you just need a better warm-up program?
Potentially, yeah. It's just a lot. The other problem is that I can't see the current temperature on the Lynx machine anywhere without going way into some back menus, and like Haas has it right there on the front screen. I can see my spindle temperature or something that I know is correlated to the temperature of the machine, that I can kind of see how the machine moves. The Lynx, I can't do that. I have to go into like maintenance mode and then back it through like all these parameters to dig down to find that the one or two temperature readings that they have, and then I don't know what temperature readings they're taking, because one of them's like the electrical cabinet and one of them is like somewhere in the machine. But even the Doosan tech, whenever I asked him where that temperature was being taken from, he's like, I don't know. So
I wonder if you could like put some thermocouples in the frame or something.
yeah, maybe. But I mean, I still am just so excited with the machine. Like having a chip conveyor, and the sub spindle. The machine just, when it's up and running, it's just printing parts when it's going, and it is phenomenal.
Sweet.
Like it's got the typical, I hate Fanuc, certain elements of Fanuc problems, but it's rock solid when it's going.
Yep. Well, speaking of rock solid when they're going, shall we thank our Patreons?
Yeah.
So our Patreons help us keep the show rolling, and they're going to get us to IMTS again next year when IMTS comes around. We'll get I think, slightly nicer Airbnb than last time, and our Patreons will make that meetup happen. That meetup will happen at some point. It's an undetermined date. Just know that at some point we're going to do a meetup during IMTS this year. Our Patreons include my current favorite Patreon, Alex at Mill City Roasters, because he sent us coffee.
Yeah, I just got the coffee the other day.
I got it a day or two ago. I have not opened it yet. My espresso machine decided to go, and I haven't gotten a chance to fix it. So we had to pull out the old pour over, which I don't like as much as my espresso drinks. But
completely unrelated to me getting coffee from Mill City Roasters, Weston actually bought a coffee pot or a coffee machine for the shop because we didn't have one. Mm-hmm. Because we've been getting there and working so long, Weston's like, I need coffee at the shop. And so that package came in like the same day that came in, and I didn't know Weston ordered it. And so the only thing is the Keurig machine, and I need to get one of those reusable cups so that I can use it at the shop.
It's the best coffee it's ever been in a Keurig. And I did see a message from Alex that I think wanted me to say that Mill City Roasters is not actually a coffee roasting company. They make the roasters themselves. So I think we're getting samples or something. Like this isn't their business.
Yeah, it's like this is how good we can grind our coffee type thing.
It's like a sample part. I still need to send them a message because I genuinely want to go up and see their manufacturing if I am able. And it's kind of far away if I remember right, but it would be a lot of fun. I like coffee. I want to say they're in Minnesota.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be super cool.
So, yeah, thank you, Mill City Roasters. I will continue to talk about you guys on air if you continue to send me coffee. We are very cheap for sponsorships. We also, so that was our first Patreon. Our second Patreon is Christian O, and he was talking in the Patreon Discord about potentially starting a podcast, and I told him that we would help him get started. So, Christian O, if you want to do that, I have a mic for you, and we can get you some shout outs. No, so I think I need to send him the Dylan mic because it doesn't work very well here in this environment. It's a little less directional than my Snowball, and it picks up machine noises. So he can have this one, which is technically a nicer mic than the Snowball. But Dylan Jackson gave this one to me, and he gave one to you. Why did he have two of them? Anyway.
I'm guessing because he would send them out to guests and he's retiring them because he got something nicer because he has more Patreons that like him.
Yeah, he has a lot more Patreons. Our Patreons are great, but we are not on within tolerance levels.
No, and that's okay.
Yeah, Christian, if you want to start a podcast, we'll help you get started. Stephen M, I'm sorry, I don't know you, or if I do, you use a different name in the Discord. A Dead Horse, Daniel R, James at Moultrie Made, Ryan at Straddle Manufacturing, Austin W, Kyle at Kursk Machine, which reminds me, a lot happened with Subtract that I haven't talked about. Devin at Sinister Machine Works, James N, Bennett Prickly Pear Prototypes, who just sent Subtract an RFQ, Cam S, Shep at Alderson Prototyping, Jacob at Zon Precision, who will be mad at me if I don't talk about Subtract, Jason S, Joshua H, Christian Z, Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z, 2Z Systems, Trey V, Alexander B, Scott Design the Everything, Jamie at JSpec Engineering, Chris Zyke, EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Thought Bomb Design, and as ever, Jake Brownson. So I don't remember how much of the Patreon pitch I have done so far, but there is a pretty cool Patreon Discord that all paid members of our Patreon have access to. You do have to be a paid member just to make sure it stays kind of a smaller, tighter-knit community. But the fact that I keep saying paid member implies the existence of free members, and free members do get access to our Q&A, which we'll do in a second here. So if you do want to be able to participate in the Q&A, just go sign up for free. It doesn't cost you anything. I don't think we do any like sales pitches.
How can you be part of the... I've never asked this, and maybe this is me asking it live, which is fun. But how do the free members get access to the behind the scenes without getting access to the Discord?
So they get access to the Q&A. Okay. That is all handled via Patreon, where if you're a patron and you want access to the Discord and you are a paid member, you have to link your Discord to Patreon, which if you have problems with, send me or Jacob a message and we'll send you the Patreon help link. But Patreon knows if you're paying or not, and it just won't link your account if you're not paid.
Yeah, but if you're free, so you just go through the Patreon page to ask the questions, or
yes.
through the
and Patreon knows. Yeah, so Patreon knows that the Q&As are for everybody, and that the Discord is for the paid members only.
Gotcha. So it's still through Discord. It's just the one channel.
Yeah, it's no. The Q&A is on Patreon.
Oh, okay.
Jacob also does it on Discord because he's good at these things.
Gotcha.
But it's officially only through Patreon, and he just unofficially also does it through Discord.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And if you pay $10 a month, we butcher your name live on air. And if you send us coffee, we talk about you for a long time.
Yeah.
Could your robot load the little pallets from the Anchor Point, JSpecs pallets? Because those could only be like 6x6. They would be pretty light. You could just throw an Anchor Point on there if you needed to occasionally for pallet loading.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, for automation, I wanted to have an integrator do as much as possible just so we could hit the ground running. But I really think that, like, the UR system is super easy to use just based off what I've seen. And, like, I would be, if I had the time, I would be okay with buying just a UR robot and trying to make something work.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking you could even just grab them with your VersaGrip grippers and then load them into the thing. And it costs like $10 to make one of his pallets. So you could load a bunch of them beforehand.
So the VersaBuilt system is not designed to work with a different Anchor Point system because it has its own vices that it goes into. And the vices are also the grippers for holding the parts.
Oh, does it actually swap the jaws?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I knew the jaws were swappable, but I didn't realize it like was loading. Okay.
Yeah. So like You would want to get a you would want to get a VersaBuilt system for that. You would just want to get a UR robot with a gripper that could hold on to those.
Yeah. I have a lead on a free or cheap robot.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I'm hoping that comes to fruition here soon. And I might be pallet loading some anchor points.
yeah, that would be super cool to see. Like, this has really energized my desire to automate everything. So, and I'm hoping by the end of this week that I could have the VersaBuilt system running one part for sure, and maybe running another part. So I could have two different parts working on the VersaBuilt system by the end of the week.
Yeah. All right, going to our Q&A now that we've stalled the adequate amount. Jake Brownson asks, favorite shrink fit system, shrink fit or power grip?
I have zero experience with both, but I am really wanting power grip.
Samesies.
Like,
No, I did just find out that Maritool is making a power grip compatible system, which is
yeah,
really cool and I'm excited about.
yeah, which makes sense because Power Grip is RegoFix, and RegoFix is the ones that developed ER collets, and that's kind of an
Yep.
open standard. So if Power Grip becomes an open standard that other people can start making, then that could bring the cost down substantially over time for that
I don't
system.
think ER as much is an open standard as much as it is an expired patent.
That could be.
And I mean, eventually the power grip patent will expire too.
I mean, the fact that Maritool is making tools for power that are Power Grip compatible would suggest that there's not a patent protecting it.
I don't know enough to know how that works. What it means is they haven't gotten sued yet. And if they will, I don't know. But maybe they found a way to improve it enough to call it a different product.
I don't know.
So
I'll be curious to see how that happens.
I would also be curious to see if they come out with their own like press pull machine.
Yeah, that's really the big expense to getting into the Power Grip system. I would already have it if the stinking machine wasn't 10 grand.
Yeah. If someone wants a product idea, go find a way of making a cheap one and sell that. If you could sell them for like $1,000 or $2,000, and especially now that the Maritool things are an option. All right, next question. I keep hearing you talk about Aurora or Aurora, not a fifth axis. What is that? I tried looking it up and came up with nothing. Yeah, I'm not surprised. So
Not trademarked.
Well, let's start with Aurora. Aurora is a brand of 0-point systems and other stuff. They are kind of an older system. They were designed originally for swapping EDM heads, like sinker EDM heads. And it turns out they're also pretty good for work holding. That is Erowa, Erowa. That is a brand name. And I'm not actually using anything actually made by Aurora. I'm using knockoffs. So it's an Aurora style 0-point system. You can Google Erowa, Erowa, and find a bunch of stuff.
And then your not a 5-axis is not trademarked or like a product you can find either.
Or a word that anybody besides me uses.
Yes.
So the not a 5-axis is just a Aurora 0-point rotated 90 degrees on its side, like literally bolted to an angle plate. And the Aurora pallets naturally increment in 90-degree intervals. So by having one in the vertical position, like the standard position mounted directly to my table, and then the one mounted horizontally on its side where I can index, that gives me access to 5 sides of the part without removing the material from my vise. So it is kind of sort of like having a 5-axis positioner, but not actually having one, hence the not a 5-axis name. And not.
I was going to ask you, what's the max part size you can do with your system as well? Because it's a pretty small setup.
Yeah, I think theoretically I could do something like 100 millimeters, maybe 120 millimeters, which is 4.5, 5 inches, somewhere in there, almost 6 inches. In reality, the vices I have are very small because I'm using those little import self-centering vices, and the most reasonably sized part you can get in there is like 60 millimeters, 3 inches, somewhere in there. It's great for what I do. It's not going to be a universal setup, but it's a whole lot cheaper than buying a 5-axis machine. But it's understandable that you're confused. And that the reason that name came around was we published a YouTube video, like Audacity Micro published a YouTube video, and the title was something like 5-axis for $2,000, and
Yeah.
it made people think it was like people were like, this is very clickbaity. So we changed the name to not a 5-axis.
A slightly better implementation of the exact same thing that AJ is doing is Adam the Machinist, which he has the 90-degree portion connected to a 4th axis. So you can get the top surface, and then you can rotate all the way around the side with a 4th axis.
Yeah.
And
And
you could add a 4th axis to your machine pretty easily and do that as well.
I should. Yeah. I probably stole this idea from a number of people combined. I think I probably stole some of it from Adam watching his videos. Stefan, I think, had some very similar stuff. And then the Flux workholding had their like Flux puck that rotated at 15-degree intervals. So it's an amalgamation of several people who are smarter than me. Mitchell K. Oh, yep. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Mitchell K. If for some reason you had to rebuild your shop from scratch, what are non-negotiable first tools you would splurge on from the start? Buy nice or buy twice. Mine would have to be his 0 to 4 quantum mics, and then a good set of manual 3-point bore mics.
So if I was doing a shop over, some of my non-negotiables would be a rotary screw compressor, so a good air system. Bright lights.
Yes.
Epoxy flooring.
I wish I could do that.
Nice flooring of some kind. We did like a painted thing, and it's not holding up very well. I wish we had done epoxy, or maybe a polished concrete. Some high-end inspection stuff like the quantum mics would be really nice. I would say mist collectors on every machine that I would buy. Those are something that, as we are growing, is extremely important to kind of keeping the air quality nice. Same thing with like chip conveyors. Those I think are awesome and hard to live without. Probing on machines is phenomenal. What else?
Bandsaw.
Yep.
I struggled for so long with my Harbor Freight bandsaw, and changing to, I don't even have the biggest, nicest bandsaw in the world, and it's a million times better.
0-point systems in general.
0-point system. Yep.
Like that is, I still have the goal of outfitting the SVM with like a Lang 0-point system on the whole table to be able to switch stuff back and forth. It's just really expensive. I think I priced it out at close to $20,000 to do that, and that's a lot.
Have you looked at the import stuff?
I haven't. Not with any serious eyes. Difference. Oh, I'm sure.
If I was to restart, I would restart with the import versions of the Shunk system, because that works better or just as well as for automation as my row system, and it's more rigid.
Yeah. I like having tables at all my machines in kind of a cell arrangement. I like having the mats in front of my machines where when you're standing in front of them, you're not standing on concrete all day. Those are kind of non-negotiable.
Air conditioning. We've just outlined our entire shops.
Yeah. But I mean, they're all things that I found value in that like people who have been in the industry a lot longer have scoffed at. Like I've had I've had people that have come into my shop and been like, "Oh, you don't need this, you don't need that," or it's a nice shop, but like some of this stuff is unnecessary. And I would argue that it is completely necessary because it creates an environment where excellence is a byproduct of the environment. It's just it's harder to screw stuff up when everything around you is so nice. Like your
Yeah.
mindset's just in a better place.
My 3D printer would be another one. Go in for the
Yep.
P1S. Compared to, I mean, I guess my Prusa Mini was pretty good at the time when it was new, but man,
Yeah.
having that nicer 3D printer.
3D printers are indispensable in a modern machine shop, I feel like.
Yep.
I like my laser for engraving. Less important, but when you need it, it is awesome. And like all the rest of the stuff is more specific to what type of work you're doing. But I'd say that's a pretty good overview of like the things that I would like if I was starting over and had to lay out everything. Like I would start with a 0 point system. I would not wait on that.
Yeah.
I would always have probing. If I was going way back to my Tormach days, I would never buy a machine without a tool changer again because I started without a tool changer for a while and it was horrendous. And I would never start out like that again. A refractometer, I didn't have one of those when I first started. I would not recommend that.
Those are like $9.
Yeah, well, I didn't know any better.
That reminds me, I need to buy coolant. Yeah. The things I would say, I mean, Harrison had a great list there. If we're talking like, you're money limited and just choosing what to spend it on, I think work holding would be a big one for me. Some sort of 0 point system for sure. Definitely probing, definitely a tool changer. I can live with basically anything else. Like the Haas mics are fine.
Yeah.
But, not having a probe, not okay. Not being able to quickly swap fixtures, not okay. I really like my Saunders plates, but I would take a 0 point over the Saunders plate any day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Sonder plate was a great way to get us going because it was just such a flexible system.
Yeah.
Or is
And
such a flexible system.
It makes dialing in 0 points easier. It makes swapping those in and out easier. It protects your table. Underrated value of them is when I go to resell the machine, it'll keep it nicer.
As long as your coolant is at the right concentration. Otherwise, it hurts your table.
Well, did you have the bare aluminum ones?
Yes.
If you get one that's not bare aluminum, it helps your table. If you get the bare aluminum one, you have to be pretty careful. Yes.
Yeah.
Both of the ones I have now are anodized, and then you don't have the galvanic reaction thing. But that is a good point. If you have the aluminum one, you need to rust protection that thing to death and take it off every now and then and check.
Yep. What else?
A really nice set of calipers, or one for each machine. Like there's some measurement tools that I will go a little bit cheaper on, but a really nice pair of Digi Mitutoyo calipers.
Gauge pens, gauge blocks. Both of those are highly useful.
Yeah. See, but like those, I'd be perfectly fine just buying like a Haas set.
Yeah, but I would want to have a set.
Yeah.
Like they don't have to be like name brand. I mean, none of mine are name brand yet, but I use them all the time.
Yep. Ooh, I just got 2 really nice indicators in, and I'm actually going to build some. I guess hard gauging is the term for these parts. There's 2 dimensions on them that are relatively tight, and they were difficult to measure using any other method. So I bought 2 like micron scale indicators that I can.
Yeah, which brings up a good point. The mag bases with the heads and a tenth indicator to be able to sweep things in.
Oh yeah,
you have to have that.
Yeah, that's like having a screwdriver. Like they're not optional.
Yeah, you get so much use out of those. That's like the. I mean, I wouldn't say the bare necessities. You can always start with less, but those would be like the top of my list of like purchases I would be making as growing if I was starting over. Like you obviously need the machine first, and there's probably a priority list of the order. It'd probably go something like machine, air, work holding, inspection, something like that.
Depending a little bit on the kind of work you're doing.
Yeah.
Like Mitchell here is talking about quant mics and the 3-point bore mic. I have never once needed a bore mic or really had a part where I could make use of it. So like it's not like that's not for my shop. Other, if you're just making widgets, a pair of mid-Toyo calipers are going to go a lot farther than a set of quant mics. So
Yeah, and I would
it
like
depends on your
some
work.
I would like some quantum mics. I don't have any, but I will say that the digital bore gauges, when you need them, are phenomenal.
Do they make
But
them that go to like 30 thou?
I have a set that goes down to like quarter inch,
Yeah, that's still way too big.
so I haven't seen any that do 30.
I'd be really impressed if you had a bore mics that did 30 thou.
No, mine go down to, I want to say, like 6 millimeters, just under a quarter.
Next question, Brady. What do you guys use for the admin side of your business? Accounting, job management, material ordering, etc. What softwares and workflows have you found that work well?
The main one that we use is ProShop and QuickBooks, and we're looking at integrating in Toolpath as time goes on. Um, and Yeah, that's basically the main three that we use. Plus Office 365, which is just general package for
Yeah.
all your Excel and Word needs.
Audacity is pretty boring. I use manager.io for bookkeeping, and then it's pretty much Gmail. Like, there's not a lot going on behind Audacity. It used to just be Excel and Gmail.
We used Monday.com for a little while, and that's pretty powerful. Which, didn't you have something that was comparable to Monday?
Probably Airtable,
Airtable?
I think is what I was using. Oh, and I use a lot of Obsidian now. Obsidian is one of my favorite programs of all time. And for the day-to-day operations, it doesn't get used a whole bunch other than holding my to-do list. I use it for school all the time, and then I use it for things like processes and planning, and there's a fly. Subtract is where we get a lot more complicated. So Subtract now has our ERP, which we've been calling SERP until we come up with a better name. But I think at this point we've called it SERP for so long that it's just going to be SERP. So SERP is our custom ERP software, which is fantastic at this point. It still needs to integrate a whole bunch more things. The next big step for it is automatically emailing customers things like tracking numbers, because none of that's automated, or even just like emailing their quote. Like, we still have to download the quote from SERP as a PDF and then stick it on a Gmail email and hit send. So like there's too much manual work involved with emails, but SERP will eventually take that over. It's both like our job tracker. It's what we use for quoting in conjunction with Toolpath. So we used to have a spreadsheet where we would take the information from Toolpath and then put it into our spreadsheet and then get our final numbers. Now we run the part through Toolpath. We pull one number from that, and then everything else is handled by SERP. And then it spits out a PDF that we send the customer. It's really quick and smooth now. Jacob has done a good job on that. We also are currently using Airtable pretty heavily. That'll slowly get transitioned over to SERP. So I actually should talk with Jacob. I believe right now he just transitioned us to handling job management with SERP and no longer with Airtable. However, our RFQs are still coming via Airtable. So getting that to SERP is another future step. And okay, so material ordering through SERP we don't really do any, or through Subtract we don't really do any of that. We use Stripe to both pay our vendors and to collect money from customers. Accounting is done in Manager IO, though SERP is starting to have some of those features. For example, it'll like track change orders and things like that. Do we use anything else? Gmail, Discord. All of our communication is done with Discord at this point. So Subtract, we just opened up a public, well, sort of public, a potential vendor-facing section of our Subtract server. So if you want to be a vendor, you can fill out our vendor survey, and then you get into the vendor or the potential vendor Discord. And then if you get accepted as a vendor, you get access to the vendor Discord. And then we have the administrative Discord or set of channels. This is all one Discord. And so basically Discord's how we do all of our communication. If Discord died, Subtract would be in trouble right now. And Toolpath. We use Toolpath for quoting. And I use it for programming sometimes with Audacity.
Good deal.
Jacob uses Claude coding for programming. That's another big thing. But I guess that's not really machining. Alex B, are either of you thinking about going to the Machinist ski trip? This is hosted by Toolpath. I think it was like mid-April or something like that.
I would love to, but I have my brother's wedding at the same time.
Dang it. Silly brother.
So, as much as I'd like to say, you don't need me for a wedding, I should probably be there, considering I'm going to be a groomsman.
I have considered it. I definitely want to go. I wouldn't mind going. I would like to go. I already have a bunch of other travel lined up for early in 2026. And like, I can't just be gone all the time. So maybe, but I think I will be both kind of budgeted out since I'm going to be traveling everywhere. And if I'm traveling, that means I'm spending money and not making money. Unless Subtract suddenly takes off, I suppose. But it looks like fun. I'd like to go. Greg at Frogtown, have either of you used a 90-degree head or had to program one?
Nope.
Dylan, got chips.
Yeah, that was a quick one.
Dylan, got chips. Product development. Pursuing job shop for the foreseeable future? Question mark.
I have something that I would like to work on, but I am so far from development phase right now that it is a twinkle in my eye that I would like to do. And just to give the smallest of teasers, it would be a recreational product for boats.
Oh. Harrison's starting a brewery.
No, boats, not like on the water.
I know.
It's like a brewery.
Drink beer on boats, Harrison.
Oh. I don't drink beer at all.
I don't drink either. I assume you drink beer on boats.
No. In fact, if you drink with this product, you might get hurt. Actually, you a lot of people would. So
is it lead or a gun?
No. I'm not going to divulge too much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to divulge too much. It's an idea that both. I'll say this much. It's an idea that was when we were first starting our business. We went out on a boat with some friends, and one of the friends made a half-hearted comment about it'd be cool if there was a product that did X. And they were joking back when we had our Tormach that we should make something like it. And we've had it in the back of our heads for a long time, and we've never done anything with it. But as our capacities have grown, we've gone, that's actually a really good product idea if we did it right. And it would involve some electronics and stuff. And but it could be really cool if we could pull it off. But I mean, it would be a lot of R&D to develop it and do it justice, which is why I haven't done anything with it. It's
Hold on, I'm gonna go hit pause on my machine. I'll be right.
No, you're good. But job shop for the foreseeable future. Would love to find some smaller products to kind of play around with and develop before going to this larger product idea. But I've always wanted to do some sort of a product. Like we're doing the magwells for one company. I've thought about developing my own magwells for different guns from different companies and then releasing them because we've got that process dialed and it could be successful. But we haven't done anything with that yet, just for the fear of any problems with our current customers.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would take that risk.
But if I were to ever lose those customers, I would definitely
Oh yeah,
look into doing that.
I have always liked product development. I think I'm pretty good at product design. I think I'm much less good at selling products. Um, so I would love to start having some more products again at some point. Subtract is kind of that. Like, I know it's not exactly a product, but it's kind of the accomplishing the same purpose for the business, where it's, separate from the job shop work. It's not something that is one to one AJ's time to direct income, like job shop work is. So Subtract is kind of my product that I am developing. Now, with having Subtract, I've been looking at all of these people on the Subtract network who are just like so much better at machining than I am and have Swiss lathes and 5-axis and like, just so much more capabilities than I have. And I'm like, the products I could make using this network. I've thought about doing a pen, like going and doing some more Kickstarters using the Subtract network, both to like kind of advertise Subtract and to scratch my product development itch. Because then I could just do the prototyping and then have someone else do the rest of them. Which is what we should have done with Design the Everything in the first place. Is very, very tempting to me. So I think if Subtract ever got busy enough that Audacity had to kind of trickle off to nothing, I think I would start doing some products using the Subtract network, kind of both for fun and as maybe a second source of income and to keep the network busy. Which reminds me, if anybody wants to do a Kickstarter that needs machine parts, tell me and I will help you with Subtract. But yeah, so I would like to. I think it was the end of that story. And sorry, so I was salami slicing parts. My mill is running. I have the webcam up and the stick of material was getting really short. And I got scared. And so I went and turned it off.
Do you have it? Do you know how far you can stick out and how many parts you can get?
I should, but I don't.
So you just set it. You said just set it on repeat and then just let it go.
I told it to go 8 times. Before I was doing 5, and when I did 5, I felt like it had a lot of material left. I'll have to go count how many parts it made this time, but it was more than 5, and I started to panic. So,
speaking of which, I have a random annoyance tangent that has kind of come up in our shop with our new Doosan.
What's that? I thought you were going to be annoyed at me, so I'm kind of relieved right now.
No. So, with these tight tolerance parts and the fact that our parts pusher, I'm having to make some stuff for it, and I just haven't got around to it yet. So, right now, whenever it's running and it doesn't have a pusher to push the part out of the sub, and so we're relying on coolant to do it. And so I have a manual stop in the middle before it does the transfer to the sub to make sure the last part ejected properly. And when it hits that stop, it goes to a solid yellow light saying, machine is paused. When the program ends, it also does a solid yellow light. And there's still a bar in the machine. So if the operator's not paying attention, they will start like it's a new bar and we've had one bar get flung out of the machine
Ooh.
because it was only holding on by a 16th of an inch, and then it went to go rough cut, and part or the little stub of material jumped out of the machine
Yeah.
because the solid yellow bar, the solid yellow light is not flashing like on all our other machines whenever they're done with a cycle.
Huh. I
So
wonder if there's a way you can fix that, like in the ladder.
I don't know. I texted today. I texted our apps, our DN apps guy, to basically be like, "Yo, is this something that we can do?" Because like machine paused and cycle complete should be completely different light indicators.
Do you have any digital outputs that you can use?
Probably.
You could put like you could wire up an extra light onto your stack light that's just like blue or something, and at that pause have it turn on the blue light as well. So if you ever look up and there's a blue light and a yellow light, then you know it's just a pause.
Yeah, but before I go through all that, I'm going to see if our JSON
You can
apps guy
just
can,
change the ladder to go blinky blinky.
yeah, when cycle complete instead of just the same as option stop.
Yeah.
Because that's gotten us on the SVM in the past, but it's a lot easier to look in the machine and go, oh, it's done, not option stopped, or vice versa. Oh, it's not done, it's just option stopped. It's a lot harder to do that on the lathe when you can't see the how much of the bar is left.
Yeah.
So, which when we start using our bar, did I talk about why we're not using our bar feeder right now?
No.
Okay, we're not using the bar feeder because the material that we're getting heat treated is has too much of a bend,
Mm,
and the Trusty Cook liner is a really tight fit around the material, and it doesn't have enough gumption to push it through and errors out.
interesting. That's annoying.
And so we're working with the material supplier. We have a whole palette of material we got to work through. It's enough that we can manually load it, and once it's in the sub spindle has enough torque to
Pull it.
self feed, but there's the bar feeder doesn't have enough torque to load the bars. And if it has less than an eighth inch of total deflection, it can do it, but that's kind of the limiting factor. And we have several that have like closer to a quarter inch of deflection over 3 foot.
Yeah. This material has kind of been a pain in your neck for a while.
Yeah, yeah. And so the heat treater, when we bought the material and the first batch that we got in at 3 foot, he said that eighth inch was the max deflection that we would see. And that held true on the first batch. The second batch, not so much.
Hmm. It's annoying.
So we're going to have a conversation with him being like, hey, we've got a machine that has a bar feeder that if it's bent, it will not work. So either you need to guarantee that the 3 foot length is going to work, or you're going to rework them until they do, or we need to get even smaller bars than 3 foot, which is going to
Which would be a
suck.
pain. Yeah.
But if we can use the bar feeder, it's worth it.
Oh, definitely.
So
How many bars can it hold?
a lot. I don't know because I haven't loaded it up all the way, but
Okay.
if I had to guess, 20 to 30.
Okay. A bunch. Yeah.
Yeah. This part is not a great bar feeding part because the cycle time is relatively long, especially once we add the milling. Once we add the milling, it's going to be closer to 15 minutes apart, and you can get almost 30 parts a bar. So one bar will last you like 4 hours. So manually loading man,
Okay. Okay, Lathe, here's some bars. See you next month.
yeah, yeah. So like you're going to be changing inserts basically after every bar right now anyways.
Yeah.
So it's not such a big deal unless we started adding sister tooling. So like this is not a great set up the bar feeder and just let it eat job. But we do have jobs that are like that we are planning on running next, where the tool life is way longer and we can set up the bar feeder and just let that thing go to town.
Yep.
So, is that it?
Um, I was trying to think so I forgot to talk about Subtract earlier, which this past week I've done more on Subtract than anything else, except maybe teaching. So we're officially declaring that Subtract has moved out of alpha into beta. So we're not quite in full release yet, but we took on a new shop that has a lot of capabilities that we were missing, both in the ability to do larger parts and then also more multi-axis capabilities and then also more turning capabilities. So they added a lot to our, repertoire. We've had quite a few more orders recently. We had some really good feedback on some parts that Kyle Kursk, one of our Patreon, shipped. So it was good hearing back from that customer. And I don't say lesson. My task right now, my mission right now is to get good at sales. And we were missing some really low hanging fruit on like following up with customers a week after their order was delivered, or following up with customers after they didn't respond to our quote. And so I've kind of started tackling that and been kind of sending emails back to some of our older customers from, a couple weeks or months ago, being like, hey, do you got anything else for us now? All the stuff that I probably should have been doing the whole time, but hadn't been. So kind of maturing the sales end of the business is my mission right now. Some of that will get automated away when SERP grows a little bit, and we add the email capabilities. Like the plan from the beginning was for SERP to act not as a to-do list. That's probably the wrong word, but is kind of a management tool. So we already have like the menus and stuff built in where it'll pop up, hey, it's time to follow up with this customer. Or, hey, it's time to follow up with this quote that you sent.
Gotcha.
And that'll kind of keep us organized there. We'll probably still handwrite those emails as much as we can to keep them personal, but it might give us like a template to start with, and we'll be able to write them right there in SERP, or at least that's my current understanding. But basically my plan right now is to figure out the sales stuff and build a system for it. And then once it's kind of matured, I'll pass it off to probably our social media guy, Josh, maybe someone new. I don't know. We segregated our Discord into 3 separate sections. That was a much bigger job than I thought it would be. Jacob ended up just writing a custom Discord bot to take care of that. So now there's a section for potential vendors, a section for vendors, and a section for admin, and all the permissions are set up right. We sent out a vendor survey to all of our potential vendors where we got like, what machines do you have? What finishing capabilities do you have? And all that kind of stuff. What else was there? I guess I was mostly just sending a lot of emails following up with customers. That was what I did this week.
How about your customer-facing website? How's that coming?
It's not. It needs a lot of work still. It was kind of at the bare minimum of what it needed to be when we first launched. But since then, it has not really changed. So that's something else we need to work on. Scott threw that together in like an afternoon as like a favor, and I very much appreciated it. And again, for what it needed to be at the time, it was absolutely perfect. But we're kind of at the point now where we need something more than like, hey, buddy, do this for me as a favor. And, Scott has a busy job. And so he doesn't exactly have time for big favors like that. So I might need to either figure it out myself or hire somebody else to work on it. But we're past favor level on that website. Okay, that's all.
That's all. And this time, I guess I won't say our names on our outro. Seems how last time you called me out on that.
We do it at the beginning.
I know, but I just thought that made sense. So, anyways, guys, I guess it's as simple as thanks for hanging out. We'll catch up with you next time. There, my outro's done. Didn't say our names. That's all we need.
Taps and patience, our daily grind. In this machine shop, we'll always find joyous struggles, all intertwined. Taps and patience, one of a kind.
You could do like a like and subscribe, or like give us a review.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you got a good laugh or learned something from us, tell more people, because we are lonely and a little loopy.
Oh, that's for sure. Okay, I'm dying.
In a dusty old shop where the machines hum and whir, lived a curious mouse with an adventurous stir. He climbed up the printer, so shiny and tall. Dreaming of freedom, he took the big fall. Tumbling down from the 3D heights, broken and bruised in the dead of the night. Oh, little shop mouse, why'd you leap so high? Chasing the stars in a mechanical sky, from plastic and wires to a world unknown. But fate has a way of calling you home. Found by a family with hearts full of grace, they scooped him up gently from that cold, lonely place. With crumbs of fine cheese and drops of cool water, they mended his wounds like a son or a daughter. Days turned to weeks in their warm, loving care. He scampered and played without worry or fear. Oh, little shop mouse, why'd you leap so high? Chasing the stars in a mechanical sky, from plastic and wires to a world unknown. But fate has a way of calling you home. Stronger than ever, with a twitch in his tail, they brought him back home to the shop without fail. Reunited with kin in the shadows and shells, whiskers a twitching back to his old self. But the printer still beckoned with its glowing light, whispering secrets into the night. One fateful evening, the family all gathered near. The mouse led the charge without doubt or fear. Up the steep edges, they followed his call, a leap into nothing, one and for all. They jumped from the printer, a tragic descent. No cheese or water could heal what was spent. Side by side in the silence, their story now told, a shop mouse's dream forever bold. In the hum of the machines, their memory stays, a whisper of courage in mechanical haze. Oh, little shop mouse, why'd you leap so high? Chasing the stars in a mechanical sky, from plastic and wires